I've always loved the outdoors. Hiking, mountain climbing, or just camping in the middle of the forest, that's how I escape from work pressure, city crowds, and everything. But I learned one important thing after this last experience. Nature is not always neutral. And you are not always alone, even when you think you are. So, this happened about 2 months ago. I really needed some time for myself. I happened to find a spot on the Reddit camping forum. They said the place was quiet, calm, and safe. The name of the place was not very well known. It was not an official camping ground, but many said it was one of the hidden gems for solo campers. I searched for the coordinates on Google Maps, not too far from the city, about 3 hours by car, then 1 hour on foot into the forest. I prepared a tent, logistics, cooking utensils, headlamp, and a small camera for documentation. The day I arrived there, the weather was perfect. Blue sky, gentle wind, very peaceful forest sounds. There was no signal, but that was exactly what I was looking for. When I arrived at the spot mentioned in the forum, the place was indeed cool. There was an open field, surrounded by tall pine trees, and a small river not far from there. I put up the tent, made a small fire, cooked noodles, and sat down to enjoy the serenity, which until now I could only imagine from behind the monitor screen. Around 5 p.m., I started taking footage using the camera. Just for keepsakes, documentation like that. I just set it to the camera. This is my first day in a place that is said to be a hidden gem. Very quiet, only the sounds of nature. Maybe tonight I can see the stars. Night came quickly, I guess because it was surrounded by tall trees. I sat in front of a small campfire. It was starting to get cold. The sound of crickets began to dominate. But there was one thing I realized. There was no owl sound. Usually in a place like this, the sound of owls is very common. I tried to ignore it, think positively. But around 9 p.m., I heard, like footsteps in the grass. Not an animal. The footsteps were too heavy. Slow. Regular. I turned off the tent light so I could focus more on listening. But as the sound got closer, it stopped. Completely. I turned on my headlamp, shining in the direction of the sound. There's no one. But at the edge of my vision, about 20 meters from me, a tree branch swayed on its own. And it's not because of the wind. I tried to convince myself that it was just a small animal or the effect of the wind. But what made me uncomfortable was that there was no wind that night. I went back into the tent, brought a headlamp and a small penknife, just to feel safe. I lay down and heard voices from outside. But, strangely, the sound of the forest started to disappear. Like total silence. No crickets, nothing. The silence makes your ears ring. I checked the clock. It was only 10 p.m. My eyes were starting to feel heavy, but my heart was still restless. I put the camera in front of the tent so I could record the night in case any animals or anything passed by. Around 2 in the morning, I woke up. I don't know why. But there was an unpleasant feeling that immediately made me sit upright. And when I looked outside the tent through the zipper, my campfire is burning again. Even though the campfire was clearly out before I went to sleep. Worse still, I saw a shadow. The shadow of someone standing by the campfire. Just standing. I immediately turned off the headlamp, held my breath. My brain is blank. Who's that? There's no signal. There is no vehicle entrance. And I don't see anyone during the day. I took a small camera, sneaked out, but didn't immediately show up. I recorded from a tree gap. When I zoomed in, the figure disappeared. I went to the location of the bonfire with super slow steps. And what makes me goosebumps? There are footprints on the wet ground. Human footprints. But bare feet. And the size is unnatural, long, like an adult's feet, but with strange toes and an asymmetrical position. I went back to the tent while gasping for breath, packed my things, and decided to leave the place at 3 in the morning. But when I took the camera, the last video failed to record. Corrupt files. It's like it was never saved. And when I open the camera storage folder, there is one foreign file. The file name is just a dot. When I looked at the contents of the file, someone was whispering and said, "I saw you from behind the tree." That voice is not my voice. I got home around 9 in the morning. I'm really tired, my eyes are red, my head is pounding. But the worst thing, I can't stop thinking about the whispering sound in that file. I tried transferring files from the camera to the laptop, but again, the files couldn't be transferred. When I opened Explorer, the file disappeared by itself. And you know what's weird? I opened the cell phone gallery. Even though my cell phone was never connected to the camera, there is a screenshot of my face sleeping in the tent. When I zoom, behind my shoulder, in the dark, there's something. A pair of eyes. I'm really scared. I live alone in a small second-floor apartment. That day I didn't do anything. Just sitting, lying down, can't sleep. But towards evening, around 7 o'clock, I was eating instant noodles, and the bathroom light turns on by itself. I think it's a short circuit. But when I turned it off and closed the door, a few minutes later, it turned on again. I tried checking the switch, but everything was normal. And when I opened the bathroom door, for the last time, there were wet footprints on the ceramic floor. Not mine. And the pattern was exactly the same as the footprints on the ground when camping, long toes, asymmetrical position. That night I couldn't sleep. I tried putting my cell phone away to record sound overnight. The next morning, when I listened to the recording, around 2:41 a.m., there was the sound of soft footsteps, then a whispering sound. The same as in the camera file. I saw you from behind the tree. But this time, there is something extra. And now I see you in bed. After 2 nights at home that felt like hell, I decided to return to the camping location. I know it's a stupid decision, but I need answers. That day was Saturday. I brought 2 camera batteries, a voice recorder, a large flashlight, and a GPS tracker. I arrived at the location around 2 p.m. But before entering my camping point yesterday, I walked around a radius of around 200 meters and found something I hadn't seen before. Like a shallow hole in the ground, dug and hastily covered. I'm digging slowly. In it. Not dead animals, not camp objects, but small wooden dolls. The carvings were strange. Its eyes were carved with holes, its mouth was open, and there was a rusty nail stuck in its neck. On the back of the doll, there was a torn cloth when I opened it. It was a piece of a human photo. But not me. Its face was almost destroyed. Like it had been buried for a long time. Around the tree near the hole, there were carved symbols. A circle line with 2 marks resembling eyes, and 1 long line extending down, similar to the shape of a human body. I took everything, put it in my bag. My camera was on standby recording from my shoulder. But when I turned around, I heard a sound. Steps. Slow. Heavy. I stayed still, holding my breath. From behind the trees on the right, something appeared. Someone or something is standing still. Tall, thin, his skin was a dull gray. But strangely, there's no face. I immediately ran. But every time I look, he's still standing. Not chasing. Just follow along. When I got to the car, the camera was still on. I was already out of breath. I didn't stop driving until I entered the city. But that night, when I opened the recording, the figure is in every frame from a distance, always standing at the camera's point of view. And what makes it even crazier, the wooden doll is now missing from my bag. And what's even more chaotic, a new file entered my laptop without me downloading it. Video. 6 seconds. What's in the video? The camera focuses on me sleeping in the apartment. And in the background, a deep voice whispers, "You take her home." I deleted the video, restarted the laptop, but the file came back. And this time, there was an addition. The video was 12 seconds long. At the 7th second, there was the sound of the bedroom door opening. And something slowly walked towards my bed. I really couldn't breathe when I watched it. Because at the end of the video, there is a face, not a human. But I could see clearly, it was the same figure from the forest. The next day I rented a hotel room to stay, far from the apartment. I took a short nap, only an hour. When I woke up, the hotel room door opened. There was no sound, no alarm, even though I locked the chain inside. I took it. The wooden doll. Same. There's still the photo. But now, the photo is my face. Since that day, everything has been messed up. My bedroom light turns on by itself in the middle of the night. There are footsteps in the hallway at 3 a.m. every morning, and sometimes, a soft knock on my 6th floor window. I've moved 3 times. But something still follows. I found scratches on the wall in the morning, cryptic writing. He already lives here. I've tried everything. Moved, cleaned everything, threw the doll in the river. But every morning, it always comes back. Sometimes in the kitchen. Sometimes in the bathroom. Once, it was under my pillow. I quit my job, never left the house. Because every night, I felt something in the same room. And that voice, the same heavy whisper, came more and more often. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. I share this story for a reason. If you are thinking about camping alone, even in a place that is said to be safe, don't. Because sometimes, you don't just find wild nature. You can take something home. And he never wanted to leave.